Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwonders.com. It is the Friday, the TGIF version of Today in Sports Betting. And to do it with me, as always, we're going to talk a little NBA here first. It is Scott Reichel. Scotty, what's up in Long Island, buddy?
Nothing much. I got an important question to ask you. Is there anything better than a bunch of meaningless NBA games on television for the finale after such a ridiculous day yesterday?
This is kind of a sad day, man. This is kind of a short day after our. It's kind of like having that big meal where you go to the seafood buffet and you just totally chow down, and the next day, you're pretty much just drinking water and eating vegetables all day. So
This is the rallying day in order
we had
to
our feast yesterday. It's time to sleep late and rally a little bit.
I'll tell you what, though. FanDuel already uploaded some lines for game ones of all the series. So if you actually wanted to look for that, you can. I know that tomorrow there's only one game on the card. It's going to be the game one of the play-in between Portland and Memphis. And every other game starts, I believe, the 17th is the playoffs.
Yeah, don't steal all of our Saturday thunder, because we got our NBA show to do tomorrow. And we have one game to talk about. So
Steal our thunder? Is that a NASCAR reference?
Scotty, now that I look at that game tomorrow. Well, we're going to do our show tonight. Okay, so we'll be all right on that because we're actually going to tape tonight for tomorrow. Okay, because it's an early game.
Yeah.
Normally it would be after our posting time, but
and for Saturdays we're going to try to do the videos on Friday night so we can get it out bright and early for you.
So just and know that we'll talk about that tonight when we do our video. But there could be some serious line changes from the time. Normally we're pretty up to date on the lines, but our Saturday show could be a little different, especially with the baseball lines. Could be a lot of changing from the time that we do the show, depending on if the pitchers change or the weather or something like that.
Well, you know all about me. You know that I'm a huge overnight guy for the lines.
I know you like to pounce early, and I'm totally all about that. So we'll give them a chance to get down on that. All right, so let's talk a little NBA. First of all, Scott, yesterday pretty much went the way that we thought it would, with the exception of the Spurs, who had nothing to play for.
Well, we mentioned that. I'd say the one thing that didn't really go our way is that we thought the Bucks would keep it competitive against the Grizzlies, and they just decided to not keep it competitive at all.
Correct.
That was basically it. That was mostly just a fate of Memphis just thinking they were going to choke, and then Morant and Valanciunas both had triple doubles, and they just coasted. But I'm not surprised the Nets Portland game was close. I said I liked the Nets team total over more than I liked the 10.5. And, you basically cashed that, at halftime? It didn't really seem like Portland was going to blow it open at any point.
I liked the Orlando over against that New Orleans terrible defense. And
that worked.
That worked out okay, as they barely snuck in there with 260. The only thing kind of surprising, Scott, was the fact that the Spurs had nothing to play for and were still able to beat the number of 8. Because by that time they really had nothing to play for. So props to Pops, who had them ready to go. And although Utah certainly may not have been firing on all cylinders there either. So fun day, and it leaves us with a play-in game on Saturday.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit confused. The Spurs lost.
Spurs lost, but they beat the number.
Weren't they -8?
I thought, the Spurs were -8, weren't they?
The Spurs were 8-point favorites. That's why I said Utah shouldn't be an 8-point underdog.
That's right.
There was value on them on the outright to win because of the fact that Spurs would be playing for nothing. And that's exactly what happened.
It was upside down day. You're absolutely right. I had
normally you'd think Utah would be an 8-point favorite against San Antonio, but that was not the case yesterday. And then it turns out that the logic of must-win game went right down the tubes after the NBA decided to schedule the Spurs game about 3 hours after the other two games.
Yeah, and we complained about that on our show.
The complaint was 100% correct because that game turned into a completely meaningless game on television. You got to put all those games at 4 o'clock. You got to try to treat that as closely to European sports in the sense that you need all the teams that are competing for something playing at the same time. You can't scoreboard watch.
Again, it's not just European sports. It's American sports that have figured it out too. They do it in baseball. They do it in football. No reason not to do it in the NBA. No.
Correct. So you were stuck. I don't know anybody who actually watched that game once the Spurs were eliminated.
No, I watched baseball. So yeah, no.
I was watching hockey for most of yesterday.
There you go. So all right. So let's talk about this card tomorrow. Our card for the day rather is the first game we are going to we're not going to be up in time for that. So 1:30 start time between Denver, Toronto, and of course, again, by the time we get it set up, it won't be. It'll be after game time on that. In fact, funny story. Don't have a line on that one right now, Scott. I do have an earlier line that was Toronto -3.5, but currently most betting sites have that game off the board.
I see Toronto roughly at -3, and I see the over/under roughly at like 224, give or take.
Is that a current line you can get a bet on right now?
Yes. According to FanDuel, actually, it has the Nuggets -1.5 now, and it has the over/under at 222.5. So
Okay,
there has been some line movement lately.
I expect to see that on BOL here pretty quick. Yeah, it's a five-point swing as they announced who was going to play and who was going to sit out there for Toronto. So I'm guessing
I have no interest in that game anyway.
No, none. I have very little interest in any of these games today, Scott.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about the first game at 4:00, and I can give you my leans on those. I wrote an article for the winners and whiners.
Yeah, they had Ibaka and Lowry were questionable, and I'm guessing they are now out. Would be my guess. Okay,
could be. I don't know. Anyone would assume they were going to play in the first place.
Right. Okay. So the first game there is a 5:05 start between the Miami Heat and the Pacers. Currently, I've got the Heat -1. 220.5 is your total there. Scott, what are these guys playing for?
Technically the 4th seed. Does that matter? No, because there's no home court advantage, and these two teams are actually playing each other in the 4-5 matchup. So both teams are using absolutely nobody, and I'm assuming that you can agree with me. It kind of reminds me of when I remember who the Rams were playing in football, but the Rams, I want to say the Raiders, I could be wrong. The Rams were playing somebody like 2 years ago in preseason, and they were also playing each other in week 1 of the regular season. They purposefully did not show any of their playbook for the entire game because they didn't want to give anything away for scouting purposes. And the game was like 10-3 because nobody wanted to actually do anything creative to give away anything. I think that's going to happen in this game because I really think that considering the fact that these two teams played each other a couple days ago and the fact that these teams are going to be playing each other again in a 7-game series in about 3 days, you don't think both coaches are going to save some of their best plays, for the actual series, keep them in their back pocket kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely.
So I gotta lean under, and I'm gonna lean to the Heat anyway because the Heat are 3-0 in the season series against the Pacers. But I gotta lean to the under because I got to assume that with all the starters out and the fact that both coaches are probably not going to go with their best offensive sets, you should see a pretty low-scoring game.
Yeah, it looks like officially announced right now is Adebayo is out.
Well, from what I see, according to the injury report, Adebayo's out, Butler's out, Dragic is out, Iguodala's a game-time decision, Jones a game-time decision, Crowder's a game-time decision. But, yeah, Adebayo, Butler, and Dragic are 100% out.
And, of course, T.J. Warren's out on the Indiana side as a Malcolm Brogdon.
I see he's out, Oladipo's out, and Turner's out. So, yeah, it's basically a bench mob game. And the total at 220.5, I think this game might not even break 210.
Yeah, I think that may be your play. Although,
a couple of these bench units are not afraid to play high-scoring games. You saw that with the Heat against Oklahoma City.
Yeah, guys, they want to show their worth, and they get in there and they run and gun.
It's definitely true, but Indiana plays at such a slow pace compared to the rest of the league nowadays. And I still think that offensive set thing is definitely a thing because I really think that they don't want to provide any type of scouting material for the other team. You don't assume that – you don't agree – do you agree with that? I just think it's going to be a very
I think
it's going to be a very boring game.
I just don't know. They may have other things that they run with the second unit. I just don't want to get involved. Sure, I'll lean.
I'm just saying if I had to lean one way in which pretty much everyone's not playing and there could be a coaching angle to not be that incentivized to run your best stuff, I think an under is a pretty solid play.
Okay. All right. I'll go along with you there. I'm not sure I'm 100. I'm behind your logic of not showing the plays. I just think that the backbenchers may be doing their own thing and still
could be. But when you look at Indiana's roster and their starting lineup is Brogdon, Holiday. They got both Holidays. Sampson and Bitadze. Not exactly a starting lineup that invokes much confidence.
No, and Batanzi's actually questionable. He's got a knee problem.
Yeah.
So
So if that's the starting lineup, I can only imagine how good the bench unit's going to be. That's all I'm going to say.
okay, fair enough. Yeah, and they're definitely going to be shorthanded. So that's the other thing is those legs. They tend to get a little heavy there in the fourth quarter, and it kind of affects it both ways. It affects you on defense. You're missing that half a step, but it also affects you when you're taking your jump shots.
Mm-hmm.
You're not able to elevate as much and get. Yeah, I don't know. It's I'll go with you on the under there. Although, yeah, that'd be a tenth of a unit play, perhaps.
Yeah, it's definitely not my lock of the year.
Spoiler alert: we're going to talk about 3 games today. We're not going to be excited about any of them.
Shout out to all the handicappers, by the way, who gave out Trailblazers money line at -600 as their quote unquote big whale play of the evening. Shout out to you guys. What an absolute joke.
Looking at you, Vegas Dave.
Oh boy, I don't even know if it was Vegas Dave. I saw a couple people on Twitter.
I don't know. It's just a very.
It's a Vegas Dave term and it's a concept. But if you're really paying for a capper and they're giving you -600 money lines, you should probably ask for your money back. That's what I'm going to ask.
What's worse is they had to sweat it.
Oh no! The worst part is that they had to sweat it, but then on Twitter they just go, "Oh, never in doubt." I wasn't worried. I'm like, are you serious? LeVert attempts a 23-footer and you potentially lose your whole bankroll and you're telling me you're not sweating it out?
Right.
Like, at least you could admit that you were sweating it. You won the game. Like, you could at least admit that part.
I'm not even sure I would admit I ever laid 600 on a game.
Oh, no, I was never worried when they were down 6 with about 5 minutes. Like, no, of course you were worried about it. Just admit you were worried about the game. It's really not that big of a deal.
See, I like the Lillard over there. You weren't as sure.
I said I was a huge fan of the Lillard. 3-pointers over 4.5 at +116. He cashed that in the third quarter.
Did he? Well, that's good. So we were
both like 9.
The beautiful thing we're both right.
No, we both said Lillard. I said Lillard at 45. He had 42. I was right around the same ballpark. I don't know if I said that on air, but I said that to a couple people off air, I think.
Well, sure. Then you're gonna have to trust us on that.
Oh, I got the wrong number because I said 45. It wasn't like I picked it exactly correctly.
Well,
but I know
we did the show. You weren't as excited about 30 over 36 and a half.
I think I just was.
Man, that's a lot of points, but I do
like that. We both agreed on the over. I just couldn't say no to the +116 because if he's going over 36, he's making at least 5 threes.
No question about that.
And you were laying some serious juice with 36. It was like -130 something, but if you got the threes, it was like +116. And I just thought they were handing out free money.
All right, so Thunder, Clippers -6. Let's take a big spin in the grab bag and see who we have officially sitting out for this game, Scott.
As of right now, the Clippers haven't really announced anybody. I know Beverly's out. Harrell is not going to be making a season debut for the restart. He's going to have to wait till the playoffs for that.
I've got Harrell, Beverly, and Shamet.
Yeah, that's what I have also. I still have to assume that Paul George and Kawhi are not going to play. I don't know why they would play, especially after playing in the game against Denver. I don't know why you'd bother. I know Oklahoma City's officially resting Schroeder and Chris Paul. I know Schroeder's been injured for a while, so I don't even know if he's going to be ready for the start of the playoffs. But Chris Paul,
I don't have Chris Paul. You have Chris Paul on your list?
Yeah, Chris Paul's not playing. They already announced he has the day off.
Okay, so I did not have that one.
So if I had to lean anywhere, I'd probably lean to the Clippers. Because even though both teams are going to be without at least some of their stars for the majority of the game,
right.
I think Chris Paul is just so significant from a veteran leadership perspective. I do not trust a backcourt with Diallo in it just running around with Basley. I can't get behind that. I'm going to lean to the Clippers. At least I know their bench can get the good job done. The bench got the job done against Portland a couple days ago. Or a couple games ago, I should say. So I like the Clippers bench unit more.
Spoiler alert: I ain't laying 6 with anybody today.
So. I don't play. It's not a great move. It's not a great maneuver in this game. I'd wait until the Clippers actually bench some people first. I wouldn't take any line now besides maybe the Heat Pacers under because you already know nobody's going to play. But I agree with you. I would wait to hear if Kawhi or Paul George is going to play. This is one of those games that you just don't even need to rush to the window because the more information in these meaningless games, the better. You're probably better putting these bets in, I don't know, 20 minutes before tip-off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If there's no takeaway from our show other than that, definitely heed that to get the most up-to-date information on who's playing and who's sitting.
And the truth is that if Paul George and Kawhi are playing, don't even take the full game. Just take the first half.
Yes.
Just take the first half.
Yes,
don't even bother.
Agreed. I would lean first half over there too if you wanted to play that.
Money has kind of slid a little bit to the under, I believe, but for the most part, it's kind of a split line. I see some 223s and some 225s. So if you shop around, you could potentially find a decent middle there.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, you want? Yeah, that'd be the bet of the day. Just play 224, see what happens.
I guess I was gonna say you can play 223. You can play 225 under, and then wait for this line to drop, and then potentially take like a 222 or a 221 and try to go for that 4-point middle.
Yeah,
but
I don't know that you'll get a 4-point middle on that.
Probably not, but I do expect this line to definitely drop if Kawhi and or Paul George are not going to play.
I've got it at 225. That wouldn't be a bad hit. Just sit on your 225 under and see what you can get for a middle out there.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of the ARB.
Especially after maybe a little low-scoring first quarter there, you potentially take a live over, get it like maybe a 10-point middle.
Yeah, that's very true. All right. So last game on the card there is the 76ers and the Rockets.
The Rockets are -4.5, give or take.
It's such a shame because a lot of these games would be a lot of fun if they were actually being played for real. Yeah, I got the.
Well, I know that 76er games tend to be a lot of fun for people that are not fans of the 76ers. For 76er fans, they tend to turn into nightmares. But for this game, I mean, Philly, I guess looked decent against Toronto. Not really, because they actually played everybody, and they still lost to Toronto. Right. And Embiid only went like 7 minutes before suffering a wrist injury. Shocker, Embiid's injured again. Who would have thought? He shouldn't play in this game. There's nothing to play for either team.
No, and Russ.
Actually, time out. Utah did win. So they can't catch the Rockets, or they can.
Let's see here.
I don't remember.
I think everything's set, so it must be a tiebreaker situation.
Okay.
Because they are one game back. Excuse me, they're a half a game. No, dude, they're a half a game back.
No, that's what I'm asking. But I know that the Rockets destroyed Utah in the regular season.
So there may be.
I'd assume that Houston has the head-to-head because of the fact that Houston just kills Utah every time they play in the regular season. Besides that one play on buzzer beater.
So they're a half game. So the Jazz could.
They would be tied if Houston loses today.
No, they would. The Jazz would actually be 45-28, and the Rockets would be 44-28. So they'd be up by a half a game, having played a different number of games.
Wait, I'm sorry. What's the number now?
Right now, the Rockets are 44-27.
No, not the record. I'm talking about the games back or whatever. Houston is what in comparison to Utah? The
Jazz are half game back.
Yeah, so if they're a half game back and the Jazz don't play again, then that means that if Houston loses, then
I'm sorry. I
tied.
No, you're right. I had it turned around. I thought for a second Houston was playing the Jazz. Sorry.
No, yeah. So
yeah. So they.
My point is that I'm pretty sure
this is already set.
I think this game means nothing because Houston should have the head-to-head against Utah.
No, because the Monday games. That's what I was thinking. The Monday games are already set or the Monday and Tuesday games are already set with Houston involved.
Yeah, so Houston's already playing Oklahoma City.
They've already got their spot. Yeah.
Yeah. So this game means nothing.
Nope.
If you're D'Antoni, after you basically killed Westbrook for no apparent reason, how are you going to play Harden after he scored 40-something points in his last game?
I don't think you are, unless he wants to play a little bit. Maybe play the first quarter, something like that. Russ is out, of course.
I mean, he might be out for the first round because D'Antoni decided to use him against the Spurs for no reason.
Yeah, he's still in. Those quad injuries, man, those linger.
He already had a quad injury, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, no, you're good." I'm like, what are you doing? I had money on the Spurs anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But you hear, that injury that Westbrook had, yeah, he made it worse. I'm thinking, why are you playing him 30 minutes? What
I just want.
I think Oklahoma City's going to win in the first round, but that's a separate story we can get into another day.
Which we will. I don't.
You Oklahoma City in that matchup. Without Westbrook, I think Oklahoma City's going to win in 6.
without it all comes down to Westbrook.
Correct. And I think if he even rushes back, he's not going to be at 100%.
Yeah, anything less than 100% Westbrook, you've got to lean Thunder there.
But for the sake of this matchup, I'll lean very tentatively to the 76ers money line because I think that either the 76ers will try to get some momentum going into the playoffs, or B, Houston's going to bench Harden. This line's going to flip roughly 6 points, and you're going to lose all value on Philly. So I think that if you take Philly right now as an underdog at like plus 4.5, I believe is the current line, and then Harden decides not to play, which he definitely should not be playing, I'm assuming you'll agree this line should flip and Philly should probably be the favorites in this matchup.
Yeah, I would agree. You're right.
I would just take Philly money line right now and watch this line collapse.
And that's probably a pretty fair spin on that OKC game. If you wanted to play anything, play the money line plus 200. Just because.
You're talking about for the first playoff game?
No, I'm talking about the OKC and the Clippers.
Oh, the OKC Clippers. Yeah, okay. We were talking about the Rockets. I thought you meant the actual first round matchup. That's why I got.
No, I know. No, that's if that would probably be that. Yeah, that kind of.
Are you going to jump on any of those game one lines early, or you're not into that?
I
think there's some value there on some of those.
I'll take a look.
Boston's -4 against Philly. What are you kidding me?
Yeah, I love that. I'm gonna. Any team that has injury questions, I'm probably going to shy away from. But
that's the point. I don't know how healthy Embiid's going to be anyway. He's got a leg injury. He hurt his wrist. And
where's that?
I've already gone through the Brad Stevens, Brett Brown. I feel like we did this like a year and a half ago or so.
Yeah, no, I think Boston ends up being a 7.5 point favorite in that game.
I think they should. I would take them now. I think Boston's going to win that series in 5.
That line's not going to stay at 4. I like this Boston team.
Yeah, so that would be my look ahead spot there.
All right, so that's my official play on those last two is just take a spin on the money line. When there's uncertainty, take the positive value, especially.
Yeah, honestly, you could also just go with both underdogs. If the line moves, you can potentially buy back, find a middle.
Right.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
All right, so there you go. I'd also lean under in that Rockets game with Harden not playing or playing few minutes. I think it's a good time to lock up 230 at this point.
Well, it's gonna be fun seeing Austin Rivers take about 30 shots.
Okay. Well, in Austin Rivers,
he had 40 the other day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And nothing else. So,
yep.
How many shots was that on?
I don't want to know.
40 points, 40 shots.
Give or take, probably.
All right, sir. That's an NBA show right there. Hopefully, we conveyed our proper level of excitement in this card.
Yeah, final game of the regular season.
Fun fact about Philadelphia: they've already lost as many home games in the bubble as they did all year in up in Philly. I want to say the Fabulous Forum. I know they don't play there anymore.
You hate to see it. I still can't believe they brought Brown back after last year, but that's a separate story.
Indeed, it is. All right, guys. Well, we're going to move on. We're going to call that a show for the NBA. If you guys if you want to make some bets today, probably your best plan would be to find something in baseball or hockey that you love.
Yep.
Just too much chaos and uncertainty in the NBA here on the final day.
Definitely.
And we'll be back to talk about the baseball. Maybe have some plays there. For myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Winers. If you want to get a little up-to-date information, don't forget to check out winnersandwiners.com. Check out the previews for those. Scott and I will be doing videos on these games as well with at least I will with the up-to-date information as far as what we have there. So check those out on our YouTube channel as well. So for myself, for Scott, for all of us at Winners and Winers, you guys have a great day. Good luck on all your plays. We'll see you on the baseball side. Take care.